knew a girl, said she was trisexual. Does a donkey count? And that's a nice little thing. Anyhow. Yeah, it's a figure. It creeps up on you. But anywho, now this is my last poem because I'm sure I'm just rambling incoherently at this point. And I was actually preparing this humongous explanation in case the Zoo Human Project stopped by, but they didn't. But in case they watch this on webcast later, I will explain. The Zoo Human Project is a local band of which I am affiliated and of which I am in awe of. And they wrote a song called Duality, which is one of my favorite songs in the frickin' world. And I wrote this poem, and I called it Duality, but it has absolutely nothing to do with it. Pure coincidence. Anyway, without any further ado, the poem Duality. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is merely the strength to overcome it. That's a fundamental truth of existence. We all feel those fears, insecurities, and terrors that plague our dreams at 2 a.m. while we slumber in our supposedly safe beds. There are two options that we have if we care to be acceptable in society. One, project those feelings onto another and point out all their flaws, hence not giving us enough time to focus on our own. And two, focus inward and pick to death all the insignificant little flaws that make each of us a card-carrying member of the human race. I am a fluke, an unlikely and unprecedented accident of this dichotomy. I am neither of these choices. A sardonic nihilist would label me as an accident that must be scrubbed from existence. A narcissistic Darwinist would say that I am the first in a new species of humanity. Maybe they're both right and wrong. I honestly don't know. What I do know is the world is not prepared to deal with me. I make Godzilla look like a pesky annoyance in comparison. Why is it that I'm so beyond the ability to prepare for? I possess a dual nature, that the individual qualities of which you find every day in millions of people all over the world. So in that regard, I am not new. What makes me unique is that these two attributes that I speak of logically can't exist in a single person. This makes me unprecedented throughout all of human design up to this point. You see, I embody a concept that in your worst nightmares you couldn't begin to synthesize from the insane depths of your imagination. Simply put, I'm a psychopath with a conscience. I know what you're thinking, it's a contradiction in terms, and you might be right. Logically, it doesn't exist. But the great thing about being the psychopath that I, in fact, am, is that it doesn't have to make logical sense to me to be true in my mind. Let me try to explain with a simple moral conundrum. What is the more morally correct act? You're in a burning building and you have the opportunity to save either one family member or 5 strangers. Which do you choose? Stop! You feel that moment beyond logical comprehension as you try to weigh the two problematic moral decisions and you become nervous, angry, overloaded with moral indecision? You just for a fraction of a second experience what has apparently been hardwired into my soul from birth. I say apparently because it took an outside perspective to tell me this. For the longest time I thought that I was a basically moral person. I'm by no means violent. In fact, the things that I have seen, I'm remarkably well adjusted. I don't torture small animals for fun. I have a mental reaction when faced with terrible atrocity. I possess none of the trademark characteristics of altered mental clarity, save for one. I have an insight into the mind of insanity. I alone found the back door into the illogical sense of justification that genocidal supervillains rationalize their actions with. So what? A lot of people have that. That's not new. That's what you're thinking right now. But here is what makes me unique. I'm still morally disgusted and enraged by it. Again, taken by itself, that is not unique either. But it's not the individual presence of these polar opposite qualities that makes me special. It is their independent duality that sets me apart. Perhaps it manifests in the fact that I don't drink alcohol. Everyone else my age does. Legally I can. Some people have even said that it would help to dislodge the telephone pole that seems to be shoved up my ass. But these things, these horrible atrocities that I have seen were all observed through the violent filter of an alcohol bottle. So people don't understand because they don't know. They don't have the memories of a 6-year-old boy witnessing things that to this day tear at his sense of mental security. Terrors that leave nothing but the remains of a frightened and crying child, angry at the helplessness he showed at a defining moment of his existence that he wasn't ready to be able to handle. Terrors to this day embodied in the simple question, just how much am I like my father? This confused and enraged 6-year-old boy standing before you in the body of an evidently confident and calm 25-year-old man remembers that you weren't there, hence aren't responsible for the burden of memory that he is. That conscience is the reason that I'll shrug off all your offers to buy me a beer, your prods for me to buy you one, and your general inability to comprehend the answer to the would-be question, what's your problem, man? That truth you're incapable of bearing the burden of. So in response, I'll politely deny you this responsibility and I'll, more calmly than I should, decline your alcoholic proposals. I won't fly off the handle and burden you with the knowledge that you didn't know you were asking for all along, because as I said, I'm not a pure psychopath. But do yourself a favor. Get to know and befriend me. For one day, you'll meet a true psychopath, and unlike me, he won't have a second thought about wearing your skin for a coat. And on that day, having me as an ally would serve you well. And if you're not scared off by my psychopathic ramblings, you can find me on MySpace as the Once in the Future Poet. And if you really like my stuff, you can actually get a spoken word CD that I have a few copies left of for a $5 donation. Thank you.
Yes, get it up. It's noise. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm really proud of him because he's kind of like anti-capitalist, so I'm really glad that he's trying to sell a CD. I produced that CD for him, so it's good to see him try to sell it. Because he usually just sits there and goes like, no one's buying them. Does anybody know you have them? So he said it. I'm happy.
I think that's why he's still anti-capitalist though, because he said donation. He's not actually selling it. He's just letting you know he has one and he'll take money. But I'm sure since he's anti-capitalist, if you're good enough, just get it for free.
You won't get it. You don't donate, you probably won't get it. Anyways, real quick, one thing. If you haven't signed up on the mailing list.